Hi guys, it is Friday. We did it. We made it. It is the last day you're going to get homework. Actually, you probably already got all your homework for the week, so you just have to turn it all in, which is so exciting. So woohoo, we made it. I know this year was weird, and yeah, so I'm celebrating with you that we made it through this crazy year. Don't forget to check your email. I will again send out an email on Monday of any, Monday, Tuesday, somewhere in there of any homework that you're missing. Remember, you need to bring your books back to school on Monday from 1 to 6. You do have to stay in your car. And then teachers will come to your car and get your books from you. Make sure that you bring your textbooks, but if you have borrowed any books from me, especially Kristen Miller, make sure you bring those back because I will be looking for those. And also make sure you bring back any library books. Mrs. Hagee sent out a note to everybody who was missing library books, so make sure you send those back. Yeah, I'm excited to see you guys. I'll wave on Monday. I'll be around, so yeah, I know it's not the same as, getting to like have a picnic or hang out, but it's what we got to do this year, and then we will figure it out after this year. Okay, so today is Friday, which means we have a podcast. It's a really good one, actually. It's kind of interesting. I hope you guys like this one. And then I will do 2 more. I think there are 2 more weeks in May. Let me check the calendar. Yep, there are 2 more weeks in May, so I will do 2 more. And then the podcast is actually only doing 30 episodes for a season. And so there's actually only going to be 1 or 2 after that. So you can go on, podcasts are free. And so it's something kind of cool. You can go on and find all different kinds of podcasts over different topics. They have funny ones and stuff like that. Just be careful. Make sure you get ones that are appropriate. They do mark them if they're not appropriate, at least like language wise. But yeah, and you can find this podcast. It's called History or His Story. I use it through Apple Podcasts, but they're on Spotify and many different places. So that is an option. I think iHeartRadio also does a lot of the podcasts. So those are options to hear like the last 1 or 2 of them. And I just give you little summaries. So if you want to go back, and I didn't do these for all of my classes. So if you want to go back and listen to them, that's awesome. Like the first one is the Titanic, and it's probably one of my favorites of the whole show, and so that is an option for you guys to go and just kind of listen to them back if you're bored this summer. So yeah, don't forget that on Monday the challenge is to make something recycled at your house and send me a picture of it, so don't forget to do that. Also, we have a winner of the Mega Meal for your family. Sorry, there was a weird noise happening. Make a meal for your family, and the winner is Megan Van Buren. She was the one who made that like couscous and dessert, fancy, amazing. I think because she won, she has to make me dinner. Just kidding. So Megan, I will be sending your money in the mail. So keep an eye out for that. Anyway, so yeah. So we're going to do the podcast today, and then Monday I will be back again with a new challenge because I think you guys are enjoying these challenges. I'll do 2 more, and that will be, well, I think we can do 2 more. I think I have 2 more ideas. So we'll do 2 more, and then that will be it. And if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. If you don't watch the videos anymore, I'm not going to be offended. I just know that some people like them, and I know I got a response that some people like the podcast. So I'm going to keep doing it. If nobody watches, that's fine. Whatever. So I just wasted an hour or whatever. I listen to the podcast anyway, so I'm really just wasting the time that I'm recording this video. So it's not a big deal. But yeah, so, and if you would rather listen to the 3 guys, doing the podcast, that's fine too, because they go into way more detail. I did write quite a bit down today because I have never heard these stories. I was not correct, of course. I never win. On these podcasts, I would be a horrible person to go on there. They actually are allowing people to come on and be guests, and I've debated it, but I would be horrible at it. So I don't know. Okay. So yeah, because even though I'm a history teacher, I don't know every little tiny detail about history as much as I would love to, because these are little tiny details, and that's why they're false. So this one today, now that we got into it, is Dumbest Wars in American History. And most of these wars, actually all of them, are declared and then almost always undeclared right away or within a couple days. So there's not any like actual fighting, but these are just wars that were declared in United States history, and they're silly. So the different stories are the Cotton War is story number 1. Number 2 is the Pig War. And story number 3 is the Conch Shell War. So I will not tell you which one I guessed, but I will just tell you I got it wrong. All right, so Cotton War, Pig War, Conch Shell War. So here we go. Cotton War is story number 1. First of all, and especially those of you in 8th grade, we have talked about this quite a bit. So hopefully you guys will remember this. Well, not this war necessarily, but you will have heard of like the biggest parts of it that we're going to talk about because it was in your book. So yeah, these are little tiny little battle wars that were kind of added. You'll see. So anyway, so Texas is known for being the ultimate we are better than everyone else state. Because remember, they rebelled from Mexico and kind of fought their own war and became an independent nation for about 10 years. They were on their own. They a lot of times still feel as though they are special. It was originally part of Spain and then it becomes a part of Mexico. And then the United States takes it over. When they were their own country, or yeah, their own country, they had their own currency, they set up their own government, they had presidents who were elected every two years. The last president they have is Anson Jones, and then the United States annexed or really took Texas. And that kind of kickstarts off the Mexican-American War. This is why I said 8th graders, you would probably know about this because we did talk about the Mexican-American War quite a bit this year. So anyway, it expanded this Mexican-American War actually expanded our territory almost as much as the Louisiana Purchase. And so in this war, there are quite a few different battles, including the Alamo, but one of them, they storm Mexico City eventually, and they take a bunch of land from the Mexicans, or from Mexico's government. It has always been disputed, though, about what land should be part of Texas. It was disputed before this war. It was disputed when Texas became its own nation, and then when it becomes a state. Texas actually used to be a lot bigger. It even had pieces that went all the way up to a part of Wyoming. And so when the United States takes over Texas, then they fight Mexico in part for that land. The war lasted for 2 years, and at the end of the war, they sign, and this is my favorite treaty, the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. And this treaty ends the war. It gives the United States over 500,000 acres of land, and that is what makes up our modern Southwest part of our country. They took the land that Texas believed was theirs and they made it into Colorado and New Mexico. So that's part of this little debate. Is remember that piece of land that I said that Texas was saying was theirs? Well, Texas at this point is already a United States state. And so instead of adding that land to the state of Texas, they decide to make it into 2 more states, which were Colorado and, where'd it go? New Mexico. This does not make Texas happy. Obviously, they had already joined the United States. They had to go to war, and then they lost a whole chunk of land. So it kind of is not good for Texas. They're unhappy about it. The last president of Texas was Anson Jones. Remember, we mentioned him. He later became the governor of Texas when it became a state. Another thing you need to know about Texas is the number 1 cash crop there is cotton. And guess who is the biggest owner of cotton farms or land that grows cotton in Texas? Anson Jones, the governor or former president. Over half of his property, this is where the problem comes in, is over the border of the land the United States just took from Texas. And I know you're like, well, what does it matter? Why can't he just keep his land even though it's part of another state? That's not how it's going to work. First of all, he believes it's his land. It's the land he and his brothers fought for. And it's been given to other states. He decides that he's going to declare war on the United States a month after this treaty, the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, is signed. He declares war on behalf of the Republic of Texas. Remember, the Republic of Texas is over because Texas is now a state. The president, I think it was, I can't remember, maybe James K. Polk. No, maybe I'm sorry, I'm confusing our presidents. I don't think that's right. But anyway, the president says it's not his land to begin with. He can't declare war. He didn't even pay for that land. Texas, remember, has its own legislature, which is part like Illinois has their own legislature. They say you can't just declare war. And so they say the war is not valid. And remember, back then they didn't have great communication. And so he obviously, before they even know that the war has been declared, the war is over. And so he loses over 12,000 acres of cotton completely. Anyone can go and settle in those lands because somebody on the podcast, because they get to ask 3 minutes of questions. And that's where you might want to go listen because you get, all different kinds of information. But anyway, they were saying, well, why can't he just keep the land even though it's over the states? Well, the rule was that anyone moving into those areas can just take the land and settle it or buy the land. The other problem is they're planning to build a railroad that goes right through his land. And so because of communication and all that kind of stuff, and because it was declared that he can't do it, no fighting ever actually happened on the Cotton War. So that is story number 1. Okay. Sorry, that one's not as exciting. I like story 2 and 3 better. So I don't know. It is a lot of, all of these are kind of disputes about land, unfortunately. But I think this one's a little more exciting. So this is called the Pig War. First of all, it's more exciting because of the name. So there were a lot of issues with land up in Washington State, between Washington State and Canada. In 1846, there was the Oregon Treaty of 1846, and it made a boundary line there. And because remember, we had won the Revolutionary War, we bought land from France. And the big dispute was, where does our land end and the British land, because the British owned Canada at this point, where does their land start? And so there was so they drew a line. The question was, there's what's called the San Juan Island there, and nobody could figure out who owned it, even with the drawing of the line. The British and the United States. Today, this island is owned by Canada. Just so you know. Because of poor geographical markers back then, we really couldn't tell who owned the islands. No one cared, really, until the Hudson Bay Company of England set up a trading post on this island. There were settlers there from America, and obviously they have a problem with that. And then 25 more settlers actually go from the United States to settle it as well. One person that was there was an American farmer, and his name was Lyman Cutler. He was farming one day, and he saw a pig rummaging through his farm. It was eating his veggies, so he decided to shoot the pig. The problem is, it belonged to a guy named Charles Griffin. He was a member of the Hudson Bay Company, so he has a problem with this. Lyman, the guy who shot the pig, offers $10, but Griffin was like, no, I want $100. Cutler says no. He was eating my vegetables. Obviously, that costs money. And so Griffin actually has the British arrest him. Other settlers actually sent word to American authorities, and so 66 soldiers are sent there to get Cutler back from the British. The British then send 2 warships into the Pacific Ocean ready to attack. So on August 10th, there were 461 American soldiers and 14 cannons prepared to fire on the British. There were 5 British warships by this point that were prepared to attack. Both sides are attacking over 1 pig. Both sides were told not to fire until fired upon. So what they're doing is, so technically no one should fire. So what they do is they're trying to talk the other side into firing. They're yelling insults. They're just throwing things at them. So they're not technically firing their guns because they want to like anger the other side enough to get them to fire. They end up stopping this, and keep joint possession of the land. The main reason it stops, is because a civil war, starts right after this, and so it just kind of fizzles out this drama because obviously Americans are busy focusing on that, and we need all of our soldiers for that. So it just kind of fizzled out because nobody was firing, first of all, and second of all because the Civil War starts. So that is story number 2, the Pig War. Okay, story number 3, this is the Conch Shell War. Okay, so this story is about Key West, Florida. I don't know if you know this. It is the southernmost city of the, I just lost my spot, contiguous United States. It is the end of a road called Route 1. They were actually talking about how that road goes all the way up into Maine. It's like U.S. Route 1. In 1982, the U.S. Border Patrol set up a roadblock on U.S. 1 right where it went to enter the Keys. It's kind of the only main road in and out of the Keys, and they did this because they thought immigrants were smuggling narcotics in through the Keys. So what they would do is they would stop every vehicle, search it, and look for narcotics and illegal immigrants. The Keys, the Florida Keys, believed it hurt tourism. They did some studies on it. It did hurt tourism, and so they tried to get an injunction to make it stop. The United States said they would not stop it, so the Key West mayor decided, I forgot to write his name down, sorry. So he decided to declare the city independent of the United States of America. They're like, we're our own country, this little tiny city. And so he knows that this is absolutely ridiculous, and it is like a tongue-in-cheek war. It's kind of a joke. He renames it the Conch Shell Republic. He declares himself the prime minister, and he's going to get attention so people know what's going on. Really what he does is he just tries to bring attention to the issue so people will kind of respect the Keys, and they will get rid of this roadblock. So, I mean, he was kind of smart. Like, let's get attention, you know, let's be dramatic and do this. So he is going to get attention and do what he can to do that. He declares war on the United States. There's like a news channel that shows up. He actually they film him breaking, this is kind of weird. He breaks like a loaf of stale Cuban bread over someone dressed in a United States military uniform, just kind of showing drama. He says that they are surrendering in the war, but he wants to keep the conch shell republic. And so again, just a joke pretty much, but he's trying to get attention. He does stay mayor, which I think is funny, for over a decade. They do eventually, by the way, stop the roadblocks. But he stays mayor for over a decade. On September 20th of 1995, there is more trouble. There was a training exercise that the United States government decided to do, and it was a practice to invade foreign soil. And so because Key West is its own republic, it's not really, but they just kind of make jokes about it in the government. So they decide to use Key West, Florida. And what they do is they literally send a warship in. It's like off of the coast of Key West. They do not tell the people in Key West. Tourists get upset. They're sitting on a beach and all of a sudden a warship shows up. Obviously you'd be a little nervous too if a warship shows up on the beach that you're at. So again, the mayor, he's still mayor at this point, declares independence. He says the United States is out of line. They should have never done that. He actually sends people who are sitting on the beach in their bathing suits to throw water balloons at the naval ship. That's how close it is. And so the U.S. Department of Defense does apologize later because they realize that they should never have done this. But they do, and then they make a joke out of it and say they don't mean to impugn on the sovereignty of the conch shell state, which is obviously just a joke. But so that is like a tongue-in-cheek joke in the government, or it could be. I guess you'll have to wait and see. So anyway, so those are the three stories. Story number 1, again, was the Cotton War. Story 2 is the Pig War. And story 3 is the conch shell war. All right, so I'm going to give you like 10 seconds. Decide what you're winning or what you think is the lie. Okay, so here we go. Give you like 2 more seconds. All right, so I'm going to go with the first one that is true. Story number 3 is absolutely true. Remember how you always hear those stories about Florida people being crazy? Well, here's another one. They're not actually crazy. It's a stereotype. There are some crazy stories that come out of Florida, though. So yeah, story number 3 about the conch shell republic is true. There are jokes about it in the government. I kind of Googled it after he was done, like after I knew the right answer. And there are like jokes and stuff about it. You can't find the conch shell war, but you can find the conch shell republic. So it is kind of just a joke to the American government. It is kind of funny. Okay, so then we have the Cotton War or the Pig War. So I'm going to tell you which one. I can't tell you which one because I got mine wrong. And I told you that already. So, story number 2, the Pig War, also true. I thought this one, the Pig War, was false just because I thought, how long did it take the British to send warships there? They probably already had warships, or they must have had them in the area or something, because otherwise it would have taken too long. So yeah, that's why I thought the Pig War was false. So yeah, the story on Texas and the Cotton War, totally not true. It does sound like something that Texas would do, and so I think that's why, you know, it's more believable. But yeah, so there you go. Here's our podcast for the week. This video is a little longer because I talked so long at the beginning. Don't forget, send all your homework in to all of your teachers. If you have questions, let your teacher know. Monday drop off, stay in your car, and a teacher will come to your car and get your stuff. And make sure you bring all of your school books, library books, any books from my classroom that you need to return. It would be helpful if you stick a label on the books and where they need to go. And if you watched this whole video, kudos to you. Great job. And I will see you all on Monday. I'll send out the new challenge. I'm excited about it. It should be a fun one. And I will see you guys later.